How's it going, everybody? It's Shinigami here, and I got another review for y'all. Now, today is going to be about The Little Mermaid. Now, as one can say, this movie has brought up quite a controversy. Unfortunately, it's to its own detriment. That's only because Disney wants to do hand-me-downs. Now, I'm going to bring up a lot of points some people may not like, some people may agree with. And, again, if you may feel it a certain way, you're free to have your own opinion. Just as I'm free to express my own opinion. That's the whole beautiful thing about this thing, right? So, first off, I want to say Hailey Bailey. Again, she's not a terrible singer. I'll admit, she is good at singing. But now, where she falls flat, and again, who knows if it's any fault to her own, after doing my intense research as well from this, is unfortunately the lighting was no benefits to her at all either. And also her acting, she wasn't probably directed to do the best acting, unfortunately. Now, I don't think it's any fault to her own. It kind of feels like it's a lot of these new Disney folk, in my opinion, they keep using the minority tactic as like a shield, end all be all, that you can't criticize me because I'm Egyptian, or I'm black, or I'm Mexican, you know what I mean? And again, I'll say, as for myself as a Mexican, I think it's pretty stupid to be like, hey, use your race as a fucking get out of jail free card of any kind of complaints. That's not how it works, okay? In all honesty, I'm an American, just as anybody else who lives here and pays taxes and does other shit like that should consider themselves American, right? Now, with the other thing I wanted to bring up as well was some of you may have seen as well from the whole movie, they carbon copy quite a bit of scenes, but then at the same time selectively take out certain scenes that were in the original that again weren't offensive or were just fine. They made the movie make sense. Okay, now here I'll give you an example. I don't know if the whole theory of that was supposed to be true or this character was supposed to be in it, but obviously the chef was not a main character, but was a character in the original 1989 one, right? And when they decided to cut him from this one, apparently it would have been like Gordon Ramsay. That would have been pretty neat, you know what I mean, if he was chasing the fucking crab. But no, they just completely took out the that scene in general. And again, maybe it would have been like, oh, we're offending French people. I don't think that's the main issue right there, bro. And then the other thing as well, they kind of add an hour 30 when the original was only about 85 minutes, something like that. This one sits at a runtime at 2 hours and 13 minutes. Now, for most kids, like I have a 3-year-old, she's not gonna sit still for 15 minutes, basically 2 hours and 15 minutes. And whenever you take little kids to movies like this, they gotta be short and sweet and to the point, or they gotta be jam-packed, like with the Mario movie, with certain, colorfulness, or even the music. Now, maybe I didn't really enjoy that they put in pop culture songs in the Mario movie, but my daughter, she loved that shit, right? And not the same reaction when it comes to the Little Mermaid. Again, I think this is no fault to the people working on the film. I do believe there are a lot of good people just trying to make an honest living. Unfortunately, dealt with the hand of Disney. They're kind of put in a situation where they have to do certain political stunts or certain ideologues, right? Who knows? Maybe I'm giving them a little too much credit, right? I don't know. I want to be able to play devil's advocate and say there are good and bad people on both sides. Just as there's review bombing, there are people that review praise something, right? And that's what I wanted to get into with The Little Mermaid as well. So as I'll recap again with the whole review, Halle Bailey can sing, but the acting, not so much. When you start off already from the very beginning, the expression and the delivery of lines that she gives off, like when she's talking to King Triton or her father, she doesn't really portray the same innocent daughterly feeling, I guess, in a way. And then you also just have Javier Bardem not really feeling intimidating, and then he's not looking all buff and crazy, stuff like that, like King Triton was in the original. Javier Bardem has like some fucking armor on, whatever. And then whatchamacallit, it's very jarring for the CGI to look the way that it does. There really should be no excuse for that. When you actually take into account all the money put into this film, I would be expecting it to look like James Cameron. They kept using that stupid blue screen technology that they've been using since The Mandalorian, and I fucking swear to God, it is the worst plague that Hollywood has ever seen, because they keep using it thinking that it makes the films look fine, and it doesn't. It really doesn't. And another thing that pops up from that whole situation is that since they're not actually underwater, I don't think, not that I've seen any actual scenes of them filming underwater. All the scenes I've seen from back behind the scenes and all that is just them in that fucking blue screen area, right? And that gives certain animations as well from when they're animating the people into mermaids and all that shit. They do some very, very weird visual effects, as well as obviously Sebastian, Scuttle. I don't like that they changed the bird in general. From what I have also seen, maybe it could have worked with Aquafina, but she didn't have to rap. Okay, she really didn't have to fucking rap. It's just another one of those plagues from the modern Disney. They gotta add some new songs, but also some of them very unnecessary. That's one of them. And she also sounds horrible for that one. I'm not gonna subjugate you all to that torture. What else can I say? From there on, you have the normal flow from the original, from the copy, basically. Ariel, comes across Ursula, but they made a change this time. They made a change from the Broadway version or the live, you know what I mean? And they adapted the point where Ursula and King Triton are brother and sister, and it's just that changes what the original film was partially about as well. You know what I mean? It wasn't any of that. So whatever. That's in that portion of the film, she accepts the deal, takes her voice away. I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but you get the fucking drift. If you've seen the original, you know what's going on in this. There's just a few scenes that are kind of tweaked. You know what I mean? And then besides the whole fluff added in the middle of Halle Bailey trying to just woo Eric, and also Eric not really being the very macho, very cool, I guess you could say cool, whatever, from the original. He's very toned down. He's not as masculine as he was before. And also the adverse thing is he wants to be in her world, okay? So you're kind of missing a lot of the main points that made the original film work the way that it did. But you guys trying to tweak and make some progress movements to this, it doesn't make the most sense. At least not with these characters that you're trying to use. And then whatever, I'm going to kind of jump a little bit forward. After that, no, and I have to make sure I bring up the point that for the last fight, of course, what's his name? Of course, Ariel has to save Eric at the end. It's still one of the biggest points that just should not have been the way that it was, but they changed it. You see Ariel flop on the goddamn ship like a fish, but obviously it's fucking odd because just the whole point of him basically sacrificing himself to stop Ursula protect Ariel from getting hit, or stabbed, I guess, by the fucking trident, it loses its fucking meaning. You know what I mean? It does not have the same impact. Yeah, that really is one of the biggest fucking jarring moments of like, why did you change that? It didn't have to be that kind of moment, okay? And then obviously they had to have the original voice actor basically pressured into saying, no, the previous songs were sexist, that we have to change it for modern times. And when in reality it wasn't that. The fish were telling what Ariel wanted or needed to have happen, which was get kissed by the boy. And as you remember from the original, he was the one that was actually shy and not really wanting to kiss her, because like many have pointed out, if you watch the original, and when she first sees Eric after saving him, she basically sings to him, right, and puts him in a siren symptom or whatever you want to call it, and that's the only reason that he falls in love, quote unquote. But then when during the film, that's where you kind of see that no, without her voice, she proves that she can she can prove her feelings and like show him what she means to him, basically, and get him to fall in love with her. The recent one does not do that. It subverts your expectation, and it just makes you well, you can't really say that they haven't seen it, because again, they carbon copy a lot of the scenes frame by frame. So like they clearly have a reference point, but yet they want to choose these points to anger people, right? Anyways, I'll drop off that point now. Finally, what I really want to point out as well, from what I've seen, there are actually quite a few other people, yes, from the black community, that are upset that they keep getting hand-me-downs. Okay, when you really put it into perspective, think about it a little bit. What is the only original black character that Disney has made themselves, right? And or at least like main princess, right? It's Princess Tiana. And quite a bit of people, I'll even put it on the screen when I get the chance, to show you that there are people that actually want Princess Tiana, or the Princess and the Frog, to be adapted, but with a redhead and green eyes and all that same shit, right? Because it's unfair that you keep on changing traditionally basically gingers, redheads, into black people, black characters, for just your own fucking like hate baiting, race baiting, I guess you could say. And it's a poor tactic, and if anybody who's done marketing and anybody who wants to be honest about what you're actually see through the manipulation of advertisement, of emotion, and getting people to act on emotion, then something like this is clear as fucking day. Okay, to business management, that shit is a beautiful skill to attain, right? But when you see what they're doing in films and other things like that to basically manipulate people through emotions and get them to get riled up, and when you tell people a certain thing over and over and over, victimhood status basically, then they believe it. Unfortunately, that affects a lot of people. And when it comes down to this film in particular, it is a catalyst to show you that Disney is just trying to piss you off. Okay, when you look at the box offices across the seas, they ain't falling for it. America is one of the most inclusive and open-minded countries in the world, and yet you still see other countries, France, Germany, China, South Korea, they're all not on board with this. Part of them is like China, for instance. They don't like fucking black people, right? They have some kind of issue with that. Bro, you're not gonna change everybody's minds. And then whatchamacallit, some of them just see it as a disrespect, when you're changing an originally or an already established character for more than 40 years, and then you just want to change them and be like, you should be fine with it, right? That's not how it works. Okay, use any fictional character that you want, change it into another one, and see if you don't get the same kind of reaction. Again, we've already given the example of Tiana. Let's think of one more. Let's see. If we change Storm, and she was again a blonde-haired white chick, I'm sure people would get riled up as well, because again, that's not how she looks. Same concept, okay? She's a fictional character, doesn't exist. Yes, we've had iterations of her, but again, same thing can be said. People don't like when you change established characters, and especially when you just want to twist it into whatever manipulation tactic you have planned. All right. So with that being said, honest opinion about The Little Mermaid is a 5 out of 10 film. It is mid and meager to say the least. It has some essences of parts where it's good. Again, I will give Halle Bailey her due diligence. She can sing. She really can sing. She's done that much, okay? The acting, they didn't do any favors to her. The lighting, they really didn't fucking do any favors to her, right? She herself has made herself look good, on her own Instagram or other stuff like that. But the Disney production line just doesn't know how to deal with creativity, the freedom to let directors actually do a good job, and then to get out of their formulaic methods. Once they get out of that, it'll be smooth sailing. That's going to be it for me tonight. Hope you all have a good day and good evening wherever you're at, and good night. I would like to hear what you guys have to say in the comments down below, and we'll catch you all next time. See ya.